Oh hey, I didn't see you there. I was just desoldering this board because the PC plate was scuffed. Let's talk about the AL6 and why it was a little bit of a problem group buy. I personally don't think this was the most successful group buy, so let me explain why. Alchemy, which is the maker of the AL6, as well as I believe some trays and some artisan holders, they were a new maker to the scene. They bought a CNC machine and grew organically with the smaller projects such as keycap pullers, and they went ahead and went for the big kahuna, the big moneymaker, a keyboard group buy, the AL6. And this is it. Looks pretty good, right? The keycap pullers and the artisan trays allowed them to refine their process and really dial it in. Much like Keycoat, they didn't have the experience in manufacturing prior to the purchase of the CNC machine. So doing a little practice with doing small runs for various products with other designers in the space is pretty smart. I was friends with Yeffy, the main point of contact of Alchemy, one of the owners. I believe he had a business partner. He made me a custom artisan tray, well, the artisan tray with a custom little badge, and it felt pretty good. I paid for myself, so it wasn't free. But design-wise for the artisan tray, it kind of scratched the crap out of anything it was put on because there was no bump-ons or anything. After this whole fiasco, we'll get into it, I ended up giving it away to someone with the same initials. Prior to the AL6, I feel like they only had like one issue with the group buy. That was with the artisan trays, that big fallout with Lux Cables. Lux Cables kind of just disappeared. They haven't posted online for almost 2 years now. It kind of goes to a bunch of projects, so it's not fully Alchemy's fault here. Lux Cables is pretty unreliable, and you can check this documentation on Reddit Mechanical Keyboards. Just go online, search up Lux Cables, and you'll see that there's a bunch of issues from a bunch of people. The AL6 was indeed a big endeavor, but it was a simple design. It was a drop-in gummy O-ring, and that already has open source Bakeneko files, so it's a pretty straightforward project. They did change it up, the case back and the Toblerone weight, as well as the lip in the front. They're all different from the Bakeneko, so it's not a clone or anything. But the main thing is it uses standard 60% plates, so you can use any plate and gummy O-ring and just drop it in. It's a friction fit. I can pull it out right now, you see? The main perk for this project was that the manufacturing was done in-house in the United States of America. Better QC, faster, right? That's all good. I was supposed to review the board in 2022, that Christmas time, but due to their scheduling mishaps, Alchemy just canceled my stream. Low Stacks got all the units, he got all the colors, so I was like, Low Stacks likes it. I trust him. Alchemy has done a pretty good job before. It's a drop-in gummy O-ring. What could go wrong? So people can probably go ahead and buy it. It's probably not gonna be a problem. I still trusted their ability to make a straightforward keyboard, right? The GB happened and a handful of my community purchased. The original estimate was around June 2023, and some of the dates were the fulfillment around September 2023. That's unsurprising. It's one, a group buy. Two, it's done in-house, so they're trying to figure out the kinks of their first big project. So beyond that, I just didn't really think about the AL6. Like it sounded pretty good. It sounded very similar to Unicorn. The GB probably fulfilled. It's really hard to get ExoScan when the maker is in the United States. But when the units did come in and people started talking about it, I noticed an odd pattern. All the units, in the front, there is a little bit of a scratch that just follows the cherry lip. I'll show us some clips on the screen, and it's weird because it was very consistent, not a perfectly smooth line, because the cherry lip in the front looks really nice. That curve here is bigger, and then it goes to almost nothing, and it gets big on the other side as well. It's a really nice design and very clean looking. But when you look at it closely, there's a scratch on almost every unit. Not every single unit, but most of them did. It looked to be a CNC issue because the anodization just kind of followed it every single time. Some of my community coped and said, it's not really visible when you type on it. Yeah, sure, because you're looking down and it's in the shadow technically. Those people that were coping ended up selling the board. But really, this board is $485. It's not technically a budget keyboard. It's not the most expensive, but really it is just a 60% keyboard. So having a scratch on every single board isn't the best. You know what doesn't have scratches though? Ridge wallets. I've been interested in Ridge products ever since my everyday carry ventures. Shout out to Reddit EDC. You made me buy a bunch of stuff I did not need. Rather than having a bulky wallet mess up your spine as you sit on it, use Ridge's minimal designs that hold all your cards and your cash. Their products look clean and they have survived in my care. This is my carbon fiber unit that I've been using for a while. There's some chips on it, but because I drop it, like it's a wallet. We're just sponsoring this video and they sent over the most baller version, the 24K karat gold slim RFID blocking wallet and the matching key case. They even sent over a coin tray to solve one of the problems I had, which is what if I had a bit of change or one key? The design is really smart. It's a slim tray that fits just the thickness of a coin or a key and slides right into the wallet. So you can fit cash, cards, and coins. We got all your C's covered. The products look fresh AF, and I really dig the aesthetic, and they've really refined and added a lot of accessories to kind of fill the holes in their lineup. Why don't you just use like a clip? You don't get the quality, you don't get the RFID blocking, and you don't get that aesthetic, right? Especially with this design, you can pop it up and you can pull out a card really easily. Look at this. I know you're gonna love these products, so check them out at ridge.com/WEENG, ridge.com/wing. They are doing 30% off until April 1st for their 11-year anniversary sale. You have 365 days to return it if you don't love it, and if you do love it, you got a lifetime warranty. Definitely go check them out, link in the description. Thanks to Ridge for sponsoring. So back to this, the AL6. Some of the units actually had clear scratches, namely in the battle hardened units that the AL6 was known for. The board that this is competing against, the Unicorn, is pretty boring looking. It's a box on wedge, right? This has the battle hardened where it's textured all the way across. Unfortunately, some units had a scratch that goes through the Toblerone into the case. When Alchemy was asked about this, Alchemy told the customer that it was part of their design because it was done by hand. Their forearms are sore, so just think of it as a patina. This is pretty clear gaslighting, which is not a great start for your first big group buy as a designer. In their defense, in one instance, another customer had a unit with very clear anodization issues. The anodization was rough, and there were streaks all the way across the board. Alchemy ended up offering a $50 refund and a CNC keycap puller, which is the best they could do. The customer ended up not even using the keycap puller because the Gateron keycap puller is better. Alchemy just didn't have enough A stock units to replace the unit that the customer had. Typically, group buy runners order a lot of extra units to make sure all customers get A stock units, but I guess since the manufacturing was done in-house, they kind of limited the extras they made, and it was not enough. And honestly, that's where I wanted to end this coverage. I just knew the QC issues, scratches, anodization, pretty, I wouldn't say acceptable, but not a huge surprise for their first run with domestic CNC. But then I got this unit in hand. Other than the issues I mentioned, which were just physical and visual at the front, people seemed to be happy with the keyboard. It didn't reach a high aftermarket price, however, it was being sold at retail or less. My commission client here got this for under retail. But after this unit, when I actually looked at it, I confirmed that, there was an issue with the front lip. The client didn't know about this, so I had to ruin their day. I'm sorry. My client hired me because they were concerned about their stabilizers, so they figured, I did my stabilizers bad, let's send it to someone who knows how to build keyboards. I build keyboards sometimes. The build itself went fine. The soldering was a bit tough. Damn it, dude. Due to the cheap solder that was used originally. In here we have Dotnik Pines on aluminum. Sounded pretty good. The build itself was a bit tighter than the Unicorn, very similar to the Moon Tower, but it's okay. You just use something to wedge it in, like my Gateron keycap puller. The anodization was okay. It's generally pretty smooth. It's not the smoothest. It's acceptable, right? The anodization standards, like I mentioned before, are pretty high. I didn't get my hands on the unit that was like really splotchy and grainy, but this black unit is okay. Biggest problem was that the keyboard didn't work. Why? I plugged it in, right? Well, this USB hole right here, it is too small. It's connected. I see an LED. Yeah, this cable's in cable mod. It's not in all the way. Well, I can't. Oh, look, the cable hole on the board is tight. That's scuff, bro. Grabbing just any USB with a standard housing. So I grabbed my trusty cable mod cable, right? Stuck it in. It didn't plug in all the way. And I noticed that it was just too tight. That's what she said. The plastic housing itself, let me disconnect this. So you see right here, plastic housing. It doesn't fit. It doesn't clip all the way in. And you can see right here, see that exposed part? Yeah, I just scratched my cable. I'm like, it's pushing off the plastic because this hole right here, it is too small. The hole for the USB port is too low in the opening for the USB cable that you can't fit standard cables in there. So I'm gonna grab a bunch of cables and I'll see which ones fit. First you saw a cable mod cable, which is a standard design, right? So now I'm gonna grab another one, which also has a plastic housing. I'm gonna try to plug it in. Oh, it works, but I had to push it in. And yeah, it's a tight fit. So this is random printer cable. I don't know where I got that. Let's check this braided cable right here. See, it just like meets the edge of it. So if you're gonna try to push it in, it's gonna scrape. This one doesn't fit. It's no go. This cable has a CNC aluminum end, and it's, even though it has that bevel, it doesn't fit. So that's two misses. Random gray cable. Doesn't fit. There's one that worked, three that didn't. It's one of the pre-builts. Look at this end. It's kind of fancy looking. Has a little bit of a bevel too. So it's like intended for small ports, right? Doesn't fit. Get that close up for you. Nope. Random short cable. This one has a pretty slim housing, so I think it'll fit. Alright, that one fit. This is what it looks like, and it sounds like when it fits. Yeah, none of my other cables did that. So we got two that fit, and then 5 cables that didn't fit. So that's just grabbing a random array of cables in my house. And honestly, I would like to use my cable mod cables. And it's a bit of a drag because if you can't plug it in, I was able to plug in just the tip, and just the tip turns on the LED, but the keyboard itself doesn't work. I thought I actually didn't connect the JST. Can't really sound test because the only cable that worked was really short. Like I need like a proper length to reach my computer. You're likely gonna have to buy a new cable. And that's interesting because during the stream, someone actually mentioned that they were a customer for the AL6. They showed Alchemy like, hey, the cable doesn't fit. And Alchemy just said, well, the cables we tried during prototyping did fit. So that's cool. They didn't care. Seems that Space Cables, their partner for the anodization, I believe, those cables worked. But most other things don't. If you have a small custom cable that has a shrink wrap end, which is typically those small makers on like RMK, that'll fit because there's no extra plastic housing. But most of my cables are either from Cable Mod or Amazon or other products, and those typically have some kind of plastic at the end. Even the ones that have a little bit of a bevel so it can fit in small USB ports didn't fit the keyboard. So if you don't have the right cable, it's very likely that you'll have a paperweight, which sucks because you have to get a specific cable for this keyboard. You get a nice aesthetic, you get the bottle hardened aesthetic, and then you're gonna have to use some random junk cable from your drawer because they messed up the design. And you know what? That isn't even the worst thing. The reason this keyboard was sent to me was because the client had issues with the stabilizers, right? Their enter key was wonky. The keycap wasn't returning all the way back up. Figured probably like messed with the wire or didn't install it correctly. When I rebuilt it, I also had the same issue. The enter key was now returning. Upon further investigation, I checked the wire, I checked the stab alignment, I checked everything. I've built a lot of keyboards. I asked my community for some advice because I don't know all the answers, right? They mentioned that this type of issue happens when the plate is too tight. And I was like, crap. The only way to fix that is if you file it. And the only way to file it is if you desolder it. So as a service to my customer, I gotta desolder it and put it into a different plate. That's crazy because these plates are standard design. 60% plates have publicly available files. Like they use them in tofus, they use them in government ring boards, they use them in a lot of things. How do you mess up when you copy someone's work? Not necessarily saying they cloned it, but they didn't have to do anything new. Like this is an Alchemy plate and they messed it up and it needed to be filed. What? And that is the final nail in the coffin, in my opinion. Okay, so what do we got? The board was delayed by like 3 months, if you're lucky. Right now, I know of 2 instances where they didn't even get their group buy unit yet, which is crazy, bro. The group buy ran in December 2022. It is now March 2024, and Alchemy hasn't updated a few customers as to where their boards are. And it's in-house manufacturing, so it's not like, oh, China, Chinese New Year, stuff like that. Nah, dude, I don't know if they're gonna get their boards. They probably will at some point, but yeah, the group buy's not done. If you're lucky, you got a delayed scuffed unit with CNC anode that's rough, scratches that you'll get gaslit if you call out, and a USB port too small for most USB cables. That's if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, then you got nothing. Alright, and the polycarbonate plate was cut out of spec, so you gotta use your own plate. It sucks because the board sounds best with the PC plate. A lot of people that talked about the AL6 that didn't have as many issues as I see right here, they love the PC plate sound, and I agree. When I built it with the PC plate, it sounded pretty good. It's just the enter didn't work. Some comments on YouTube noted it was a little bit hollow in certain configuration, but that's okay. Not every keyboard's gonna be a banger in every configuration. It's just crazy to me because this keyboard had a really easy path to success. Bakaneko files are open source, just need to update the design with some weights, a Toblerone, anodize it, and put their logo on widely available plate files, and they just missed the mark. I still can't believe there's still customers that haven't received their keyboards. And what do I think about this keyboard? It's a freaking L, dude. Just buy a Bakaneko and you'll be happier. What do you think of the AL6? Are you happy with your unit? Are you still missing your unit? Let me know in the comment section below. As for me, I still think the unicorn has not been fully dethroned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.